players are spun into multiple directions as one traitor finds himself firmly in the spotlight. In the words of Brooklyn Heights on Canada's Drag Race, well, I'll be damned. That was exactly my reaction when it was revealed who Eric and Rob had chosen as the next murdered faithful. I was not expecting the traitors to choose Kristen for the next murder, as I wondered if it was too dangerous for Eric to do so. Kristen had started saying Eric's name the night before and even said that if she was murdered, to look at him. So it's either they were willing to take the chance or Rob was going to take advantage of the situation and get another traitor banished. For the second time in the episode, I was taken aback. This time it was because Tara, of all people, posed the question to Natalie if she thinks Rob might be a traitor because Tara thinks it might be him. That was the last person I thought would think it's Rob first, because Tara has been so off the mark for most of this game. At least Tara has been self-aware of this fact. What I don't get is why did Natalie and Tara go and talk to Maura, of all people, about Rob? Maura seems to have blinkers when it comes to Rob. She's probably the closest to Rob in the castle, so it wasn't a surprise that in the car with Rob, Eric and Mark, Maura told them about her conversation with Natalie and Tara. For the first time in this game, there were actual faithfuls talking about the possibility of Rob being a traitor, but it was coming from the same people that were very vocal in banishing Stephen. It was going to be an uphill battle. The players were to sit on a carousel that would spin around. Once it had stopped, they needed to run and find money in stuffed animals. After each round, at least one chair would be removed. Eric and Tara couldn't participate in the spinning due to medical reasons, so they had an extra funny element that involved a stuffed version of them. Rob's little acting job after being eliminated seemed to raise Natalie's suspicions even more. I'm not sure how many others even noticed it. In the end, Eric was the last one sitting, which meant he won the final shield. There was a maximum of $30,000 that could have been found, but in the end they banked $24,500 for the prize pot. As the chatter intensified before the roundtable, it looked very much like it was going to be between Natalie and Rob for banishment. I didn't like Natalie's odds, and that was regardless of Rob having the dagger. Moira wasn't going to vote for Rob, and neither was Eric. There was no point even looking at Mark for help, so the numbers were not there. Then you add Rob's 2 votes and it was a mountain that looked too big to climb. Before the roundtable, Rob had said to Moira that they need to get Natalie out, then go for Johnny and Tara. Rob's switch from that to talking about the chicken was so effortless. If someone was actually paying attention, they would question why is Rob talking like that. No talk about why, they just need to go. But Moira isn't paying any attention, as she just seems to trust Rob blindly. I don't know if it's just because they both appeared on the same show or any other previous meetings, but I don't get how Moira can question Johnny and Tara's trust in each other, not being a traitor, but blindly trust that Rob is a faithful. This was the last roundtable where the banished player would reveal their identity, so this roundtable was extra important for the faithfuls to get right. Tara played this roundtable all wrong, and her unwillingness to even speak up about her thoughts about Rob not only makes her look traitorous, but doesn't leave her with any credibility when it comes to any further votes. You can see how annoyed Natalie was with Tara. Tara started that train against Rob earlier in the day, then hopped off, leaving Natalie stranded. That kind of gameplay is terrible, but she doesn't know how to play games, so this is kind of worrying. They might not think she's a traitor, but you can't trust Tara at the end game. Any one of the faithfuls would be silly to keep Tara in the game. Tara went from voting for Natalie a couple of episodes ago to then saying she thought Natalie is a faithful to now voting for Natalie again. It would give anyone whiplash. Natalie was pretty much on her own, and with Tara's choice to be silent about Rob, it was no surprise that Natalie ended up voting for Tara. In his last opportunity, Rob used the dagger and voted for Natalie. In the end, Rob didn't receive a single vote, while everyone else voted for Natalie. What I couldn't get past was this notion at least one of them thought that as a traitor Natalie would get rid of all the gamers. It would be the worst move to have made, seeing that every season a gamer was made a traitor. You would at least keep another gamer around because everyone else would assume Alan made at least one gamer a traitor. Before I would question if the Faithfuls were underestimating Rob's intelligence to actually be a traitor, but now I'm questioning the Faithfuls' intelligence in the way they are thinking. If Rob is a Faithful, why is he still in the game? Why is Moira, who has been a weak link in a lot of the missions, still there? Why has Eric suddenly turned mute at the roundtables? Why isn't Mark looking at one from each of the solid pairings of Johnny and Tara and Moira and Rob? Why is Moira always so quick to defend Rob at the roundtable? Why doesn't Moira think about who she's close to that might be keeping her in the game? I'm sure there's more questions, but I think I'll be here all week. While in the library with Moira and Tara, Johnny did what Kristen did the previous night. He told Tara to avenge him if he's murdered, then mentioned Eric when she questioned who. With Mark questioning Eric's roundtable silence and Kristen's previous words, Eric was going to have to get himself out of a hole that is getting bigger. This last murder was going to have a slightly different element to it. All the players were to be taken to meet Alan outside, where Alan was going to reveal to everyone who Eric and Rob chose to murder. Every Faithful thinks it's them as they stood outside in front of a coffin waiting for Alan to deliver the news. Whoever it is could see things swing even further in the Traitors' favour. When Rob was with Candice and Lisa, I could see Rob winning as a solo traitor. Now with Eric, I still believe Rob will still win alone. It's a numbers game, and if Eric and Rob choose to get rid of Johnny, Mark or Tara, the numbers are stacked in the Traitors' favour, even more so in Rob's favour. I think it depends on if Rob wants to actually share it with Eric. Anything but a Rob victory would surprise me, but crazier things have happened in this game. Just when I think it's gonna end one way, sometimes there's a surprise realization. Will the remaining Faithful come to a conclusion that leads to their win, or will the Traitors win for the first time since season 1 in the US edition? We shall see.